So the first thing we have to do, and this big button is suggesting it's what we have to do, is to register. We have to register and log in, because if we're going to edit anything on the site, we're going to need our own account. We need to identify ourselves and have we get a file system on the site where we can store our own creations. So you need an account. Use the following link. Well, if we click register, we get a window, and it's all pretty normal. You pick a login name, some name you want on your profile, your email address. You click register, and you'll be sent a password in your email. And I'm going to log in. I'm going to pick one of these accounts. There we go. So now I'm in, and I'm logged in as test2 is the account I'm going to use. And the tutorial has changed itself to say, you're logged in, proceed to the next step. So here on step 2, the next step is to run the starter world. So what this tutorial is going to be doing is getting us to make a copy of this baby starter world and make changes to it. And that's going to get us off the ground. So the starter world is a thing called OneCube World. Click the image to run it. So we've seen that you click all these images and they run these programs. So I'm just going to click the image and it runs it. And it's a cube and it rotates. And that's about all it does. It's really simple, as it should be, because this is our hello world on Ancient Brain. And we don't want this to be a really complicated world, or we're not going to be able to modify it. Step 3, clone the starter world. So again, we've got this big button suggesting this is what we need to click next. So if we click this, it loads up what's called the home page for the world. So if you click on the image, the world runs. If you click on its home page, there's a series of actions that you can take. Now, we can see here that edit, for example, is grayed out. And the reason edit is grayed out is because you don't own this. I'm logged in here as test2, but it's owned by starter user. So that's not me. So I can't edit it. You can't edit other people's programs on the site. What you can do, however, is make a copy of them. You can look at their code even before you make a copy of them, but you can make a copy of them and then you can change the code and you get your own version, and that's exactly what we're going to do. So our next step, now that we're logged in, is to clone this. Then it says world cloned and you now own a clone copy. We'll click OK and we'll go to the page, which is our clone. And now we'll see edit is on. I can click the editor. So I've cloned this. Have I broken it somehow? Because now this is my version. Maybe it's my version, it doesn't run. So let's just check. Everything's fine. It runs. This is the clone running and the cube is rotating. So the next step is to edit. And this is going to be, or it could be, the first scary step. On the world page, click edit to launch the editor. Well, wait till you see what happens when we launch the editor. We actually get the program code. So isn't that terrifying? If you've never seen a program before, even if you program but you haven't seen JavaScript before, this could be a little bit scary. So let's ignore the code for a minute and we'll look at the easy stuff. The easy stuff is changing the title. So if I change the title to My Wonderful World or something like that, and I can change the description, and I change the description to I have no idea what I am doing. And then we press save. So if I take a look now at the home page for the world and I just reload, it's now called My Wonderful World and it's got a new description line. And if you search for it in the search bar, and I search for wonderful, or even wonder, or whatever, it's quite a fuzzy search. There's two wonderful worlds, it seems, but there's My Wonderful World that I've just been making a minute ago. So the editor shows the JavaScript code. It was there in the editor when we edited. And we have it copied here in the tutorial. So if you've never seen JavaScript before, or indeed any program, what are we looking at? Well, the program is a set of instructions for the computer to execute. It's actual real JavaScript code. And that means anything you find pretty much anywhere that is in JavaScript, you can probably port in here within reason. You can port an extraordinary amount of stuff to this site and it will work, sometimes with some tweaking, other times with no tweaking at all. So pretty much anything that can be written in JavaScript can go in here. Instructions end with semicolons. You can insert white space anywhere, so JavaScript doesn't care about white space, some other programming languages do. You can insert comments, so all the comments begin with 2 slashes like that, and they're just notes for the human. They're ignored by the computer. So there's an enormous amount to learn about JavaScript. You could go off and buy a book about JavaScript. You can take a lengthy course in JavaScript. The hard thing, to be honest, with coding is to learn how to code in any language to begin with. If you know how to code in any language, you pick up JavaScript pretty quickly. Okay, the next step, the big one, change some code. You can change code, press save, and then run the new code. So we change stuff down here in the editor. We press save over here, and we can run, and it will run. Nothing bad can happen, honestly. You can't damage your computer. You can't damage the Ancient Brain server. So it's a safe environment. So let's start messing about. Change the object size. Well, how do we do that? This says object size equals 200. Let's just run and just make sure everything's working. We run, that's 200. So what if I change it to 20? Now this button is telling me I should press save because I made a change. So let's just save my work and run. And now it's size 20. What happens if I change it to 2000? Why not? And run. And I think the camera is now inside the object. Change how much the rotation angle changes each step. So here's a good one. This can make a dramatic difference. So the cube is rotating. Let's just see the normal cube again. It's rotating to show us it's 3-dimensional. It's not a 2-dimensional graphical world. So if I make the angle change to, if I increase it to 10 times what it used to be, so it's rotating at 0.01, it doesn't bother me what it is. Let's just change it to 0.1. Is it degrees? Is it radians? Who cares? Let's save it. We've made it 10 times faster now. And let's run. And now it's spinning 10 times faster. So that already made quite a difference. Anything else we could look at here? Well, background color. You don't have to be a genius programmer to realize you might be able to change that. So let's change the background color to pink and save and run again. And now we have this fast spinning cube on a pink background. So we're already starting to push our stamp onto it. Here's a list of color names so that there is help there. There's a lot of help, in fact, in the menus under docs. We'll look at that later on. There's an enormous amount of support for you when you're coding, and you've got this help when you're coding up in the menus. But let's keep going with the tutorial for a minute. You can change the box to not be a cube by giving it numbers. Change the cube color. Well, you can do that as well. We leave the cube color where it is, and we'll change the box to not be a cube. So that's down here where we do box object size. Let's just go back to tutorial, and it's suggesting that we change it to this. And it's giving us a nice little button here, so I don't even have to select that. I can just hit copy. So let's just copy that. And what we'll do is we'll get rid of this by doing that. So what that does is it makes this all into a comment, just a note that's ignored. So I'm leaving that line there just in case I need it later. So that's the line that draws the box, and I'm changing it to draw the box this way. If you give it 1 dimension for the box, object size, remember, is 200 by default. So if you give it 1 dimension for the box, it'll be a cube. If you give it 3 dimensions, it'll use all 3. So let's just see how it works. Save and run. There you go. So now we have our thing that's not a cube. It's got 3 different dimensions. It's rotating madly on the pink background. We've already got quite a different creation to what we started with. Let's reduce the spinning back to 0.01. And now we've a gently rotating thing that's not a cube.